Hey everyone, and welcome back to News to Astonish and to another amazing Marvel Spider-Man video. My name is Ronnie, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 characters that should make a return in Marvel Spider-Man 2. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to MekiXS11 and of course Protocol 36 for inspiring and allowing me to use this idea for a video. Once again guys, I'll leave a link to their channels in the description box below, and definitely check out Protocol 36. He makes great content. Help him reach 1,000 subscribers. Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. I post videos on a daily, and I do live streams on Tuesdays and Sundays from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But before we get started, I want to make it clear that this list won't include characters such as Mary Jane, Miles Morales, Norman, and Harry Osborn, as it's obvious that they're going to return in the sequel. With all that being said, let's get into the video. We'll work our way down to number 1 by starting with number 5, Yuri Watanabe. I never mentioned Yuri Watanabe in my other Spider-Man videos, especially in my top 10 villains that should appear in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Yuri is a character that must return since she played a big role in the first Spider-Man game. Yuri Watanabe is a captain for the New York City Police Department who serves as an ally and source of intel for Spider-Man. Most comic book fans would know that Yuri eventually becomes the vigilante known as the Wraith. This is of course hinted at the City That Never Sleeps DLC when Yuri was trying to make an effort to stop the brewing Magia gang war. Even despite her efforts, her team of officers pay the price with their lives by Hammerhead. She then begins to take a brutal approach by brutally beating people at the bar with no name. She shoots Hammerhead in the head. Though he is artificially resurrected by one of the men, Yuri is then placed on administrative leave. She hasn't and won't give up her agenda. She cuts ties with Spider-Man after asking her to turn herself in because of the murders she's committed. I hope we get to see her return in the sequel. At number 4, we have Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. I think it's safe to say that Wilson Fisk won't have much of a role to play in the sequel, but that doesn't mean we can't get a cameo in the game, right? He did manage to appear in Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales briefly through a video call straight from his prison cell. Perhaps in Marvel Spider-Man 2, we may get another cameo or even a phone call from Wilson Fisk in regards to the remaining Kingpin thugs in the city. Kingpin always manages to have a presence in the city Spidey protects, even if he's not physically there. You know that his reputation has had a huge impact on the people of New York in the comics and in the games. Here's to hoping that we at least hear from Kingpin. Number 3, Morgan Michaels. In my top 10 villains that should appear in Marvel Spider-Man 2 video, I listed Morbius as one of the villains that should appear in the sequel. Like I've explained before in one of my other videos, Morgan Michaels is an alias for Morbius. There's also a theory that Morgan can be the living vampire after all. Perhaps Morgan can return to aid Spider-Man with his symbiote conundrum, maybe have him tangled with Dr. Kirk Connors as well. The story possibilities are endless. Morgan Michaels can be well suited for the sequel. Perhaps it can be the dark segment of the story involving the Black Suit. Like I've said before in my top 10 villains that should appear in the sequel, a vampire hunt with the aid and power of the Black Suit seems synonymous with one another. Can you imagine how it would feel like to hunt a vampire with the power of the symbiote? Number 2. At number 2, the Black Cat should return in the sequel. Black Cat played a prominent role in the City That Never Sleeps DLC. The reason why I say we could see her return is because she may return reformed. She's made an attempt to go straight, as she puts it, but being altruistic just isn't her thing. Not to mention, since we may be seeing Spider-Man acquire the Black Suit, there could be a possible storyline where we find Black Cat unable to stop thinking about Spider-Man in his alien black costume. For those of you comic fans out there, Black Cat thought Spider-Man was more attractive when he wore the black suit. Maybe we can get a nod to that. I'd also like to see the Black Cat do more hero stuff. Then again, she's used to having little to no qualms about lying and manipulating others, even the people close to her, for personal gain. And finally, at number 1, Otto Octavius should return to the sequel. Maybe you're thinking about a couple of possible story ideas about how Doc Ock can make his return. One would be a typical prison escape. Never seen that one before. 2 can be Peter Parker paying a visit to Otto, since he was more or less a father figure mentor to Peter Parker, and knowing Peter's altruistic ways, he'd pay a visit to check on him. He may even want to speak to Otto about the aftermath of the Devil's Breath incident, make him aware about the many lives that were lost, including his Aunt May. To me, it wouldn't matter at what capacity Otto should make his return. Whether it be a cameo or an integral part of the story, his return would surely be welcomed. Peter Parker and Otto Octavius' relationship really evokes sort of a father-son dynamic or feeling in the players' minds whenever we see them talking or even fighting, basically, which is why I feel like Otto Octavius should make his return to the sequel just to remind the players that there's still somewhat of a relationship that remains. And that's it for my top 5 characters that should return in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Didn't see a character you'd like to see make a return? Comment down below and let me know. Who do you think should make a return to the sequel and why? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on that bell notification so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.